martini, shaken, not stirred.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I'm your #1 fan.
And here we go.
Happy Monday, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. 11 months later, and it's finally back to Bond. I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined here with Ed.
Hey, what's up, folks?
And Zach.
What's going on, guys?
11 months in the making, and let's finally talk about Bond again today, guys.
After what, like, forever?
Yeah, we talked about Casino Royale back this past January, and now we are finally on the road, I think, to talk about Bond again.
Maybe.
Yeah. We're definitely going to get into it. Quantum of Solace is what we're talking about today. How's everybody been so far? It feels like forever ago since we recorded.
I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah, so far so good. Just work. I mean, hey, come on.
A look back last week, guys, we talked about V for Vendetta. Not only did we talk about V for Vendetta, but the 4K also released last Tuesday. So V for Vendetta, fun episode, great numbers, and I can't wait to get into what we're talking about today. And then as far as next week, guys, it's a Thanksgiving classic that I tried to talk about last year and 2 years ago. Next week we will be talking about trains, planes, and automobiles. Have any of you guys seen that movie yet?
I have not.
Neither have I.
Fun. It should be a pretty fun movie. Excuse me.
Excuse Johnny. He got diagnosed with COVID the other day.
The Rona. That's why we're social distancing, if you guys noticed today.
Yeah, we're about 20 feet away.
Yeah. So last week, I want to talk about just a little bit. We talked about V for Vendetta, and it had a really eerie moment in that scene in the middle of the movie where it literally explains everything that we're going through now in 2020. So go back, guys. Check that episode out as we talked all about V for Vendetta. It is on Podbean, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere you get your podcast from, including all of our other past episodes. Anything in the archives you guys can listen to. Spotify, Podbean, Anchor, anywhere you can get your podcast from, even on YouTube. Let's talk a little bit about some recent watches. Zach, you have anything you want to get off your chest?
It's been a kind of a slow week. I will say, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the whole Charlie Brown debacle with Apple TV.
Right.
I did rewatch. I'm kind of getting the mood for the Thanksgiving episode, for the Thanksgiving Charlie Brown. And so I was just curious because, we talked about how Apple TV has the rights to Charlie Brown now, and basically the regular TV channel ABC is not going to show it this year.
I'll go let you go. Yeah.
And I was just curious to know, because I own the
little
holiday
set, yeah,
of the holiday little episodes. I was just curious to see, because a lot of people had said, well, how are you going to watch it? That shit is sold out everywhere. Best Buy, Target, Amazon, back ordered. You can't find it nowhere.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm glad I got mine.
Yeah.
Got mine's in. And it's all due to the news, the Thanksgiving one now coming up usually around this time of year. Mm-hmm. They play the Thanksgiving one. The Christmas one, people are going to be just absolutely baffled.
Yeah.
You know what? And we talked about it a few weeks ago too, and we're going to be talking about it more and more as Christmas and the holidays are coming up. But I think it's probably going to be the same with the Grinch and all those other Christmas classics. I don't know who owns the rights to those.
Well, is it
Warner Brothers? Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all those?
I think so, but I think the Jim Carrey and the Benedict Cumberbatch ones, those are owned by Universal, and those two are streaming on Netflix.
For the time being.
Yeah. Oh, the problem is that the Jim Carrey Grinch is always on Netflix, so I don't think that's going anywhere.
Speaking of, I know we're in the middle of November, but did you guys see a couple weeks ago Netflix is raising the price of their subscription?
Again.
So if you have the over 3 screens and 4K streaming for Netflix, it's gone up to like $18.99 now. and then the HD is $15.99, and then the standard is $8.99 still. So,
Any way to make money.
how do you feel? Which one do you have? Do you have the higher subscription, or do you have the one that's in the middle?
For the long time, I just had the simple $8.99 version, but I need HD, bro.
You do.
So I upgraded to $12.99. So that's really
So now your $12.99 is going to go to $15.99.
great.
Yeah.
So what about you guys?
I don't know why, but I have the $15.99 one just so I can have multiple screens. But I think the canceling of the subscription is coming soon. I'd rather have just Hulu and ESPN Plus.
Well, and that's the thing. We talked about, you brought it up with these streaming services that, Netflix extinction may be coming for Netflix.
You think so?
Like you said, because you have HBO Max, Hulu, Disney Plus, and basically with those three, you can pretty much see anything you want.
It'll be the fucking karma for getting rid of Blockbuster, the bastards.
Yeah,
There you
for
go.
real. Holla fucking Louie, Ed. I appreciate that. That's you get a golden star. That's why you had hamburgers today.
Hell yeah.
That's why we pay Ed the big bucks.
But going back and talking some more news about, how do people feel about now? Some of the rumors have popped up, and this might change by the time people listen to this episode. But Universal is wanting $300 million for the streaming rights for James Bond. Do you think anybody's out there is going to pay that?
Oh, I thought it was $600 million.
It might be $600 million,
Yeah.
but the first I heard was 300. It might have gone up to 600.
I mean, it might not be the worst idea you've ever heard, just because think about how much each Bond movie actually does make. On top of that, Daniel Craig's about to go out, so there it is. They've got potential with, if they keep Idris Elba on board with it, they've got potential to do a huge network for that. On top of the
I've already heard Elba's gone. It's either
okay.
It's Tom Hardy and the chick that's in the new one.
I was about to say, you've got possibilities that they could wipe the whole slate clean, start over fresh.
But that's what they do anyway. But the thing that kind of confuses me about it is this a far-fetched idea? Anybody in this room think Universal or Sony is bigger than Netflix? Or do you think it's about equal as far as net worth goes?
I think about this where we are in the game now. I think it's almost about equal.
Do you think it would be a smart move, or do you think it could even happen? Say Universal's like, you know what? Let's just fucking buy Netflix. Let's buy Netflix, and then all of our movies can go straight to our streaming site.
I mean, if they did that, that might be a good venture, because essentially...
Or is Netflix worth too much, and they pretty much own more of the game than Universal does?
But here's when you say that, though, I mean, it really came down to, the negotiations came down to either Netflix or Apple TV, say, we will purchase the rights to Bond, and we will stream No Time to Die. And I think MGM or the producers of Bond were like, that's fine, but we want $600 million for that. And so... For me, I don't know if it was
Apple TV only paid Sony how much the budget was for Greyhound.
Right.
So they pretty much just gave them the budget back.
Right.
Universal and MGM, like you said, they want more than that.
Right. And the thing is, for me, I'm just like, why not hold out? I mean, seriously. Because, Bond is already a big franchise anyway. And if, the last two films, Skyfall made $1 billion and Spectre made $850 million. So, and if this movie's good, like that trailer looks like it is, it'll make more than $600 million. It'll become word of mouth to say, hey, you got to go check out the new Bond film.
The thing that I think people are still afraid of as far as these movies goes is
the theaters.
Yeah, Tenet was good, and people word of mouth, hey, go check it out, it's good, and it still didn't make hardly much money.
Right. But do you think?
I think movie theaters are done. It's sad to say, but I really think movie theaters are done, and it's just a matter of time until big movies are going to just be at home watch.
But here's the thing. I mean, just say fantasy booking. Just say, we're still, by the time April comes around and COVID's still here, do you think that Universal MGM should just say, fuck it, we're just going to put it out, however much money it makes, or do you think they should bite the dust and say, hey, at least we're going to make $600 million off this?
I think, first off, I don't think anybody's going to bought that movie for $600 million. I honestly don't think Netflix will. I don't think Disney will. I don't think anybody will buy that movie for $600 million.
Did they say anything about, is it just No Time to Die or is it the entire Bond franchise?
It's just No Time to Die.
Okay.
Because somehow, some way, correct me if I'm wrong, Hulu has most of the Bonds on Hulu, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, most of those are on Hulu. And that's
if they are independently, if Hulu or you have to have Showtime as like what are the subscription things?
Oh,
So
well, because I know most of them were on Hulu for the
they were
longest
on there
time.
for a long time.
And I think they are individually owned by like MGM.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's most of them are actually to where it's just with the base subscription
On Hulu?
However, on Hulu. However,
Probably the good ones.
Spectre and Die Another Day, you have to have Showtime for Die Another Day and then FXM for Spectre. So yeah.
But the majority of, like you said, majority of them are on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one, there's a lot actually. Yeah. Even
Okay.
I think of Roger Moore or two of them on there. Not sure.
Yeah.
So Zach, you said most of your recent watches were just you watched some of the.
I watched a little bit of
Peanuts.
Charlie Brown. Yeah. Yeah, it's been kind of a slow week. That was mainly the most of it. Yeah, that's about it.
Ed, you have anything you want to share recently? Did you get to check anything out? You texted me the other day that you got to watch mid-90s.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I was looking forward to it. I have been. I like Jonah Hill. I think he's a good guy. I think he's funny. And it's kind of like, with the John Krasinski and Jordan Peele thing, it's like, okay, what the hell does this dude have in mind? And, I mean, it's almost a little bit like kind of what you might expect from him to a point. But I've got to say, I really appreciate the story he told. I mean, it's not like there's a hell of a big bit of character development in it, but there's a definite story that he tells. Because, I mean, if you ever watch this movie, you've probably gone through some form of that in your childhood, whether it was skateboarding, whether it's basketball, a sport,
Music.
or some other type of thing. Exactly. Any type of thing that kid gone through, more than likely, I'm sure all three of us have gone through a similar thing.
Did you like it?
Yeah, loved it. I loved it. Did watch one other film. You're gonna hate me for this one. Got caught up on Borat, the subsequent
The new
movie
one?
film. Yes.
Is it as good or better than the original, or less?
I wouldn't say as good. It's not as good, but it is still. It's
Funny.
still Sacha Baron Cohen. It's still Borat. It's still ridiculously stupid. Funny.
It got good reviews.
I definitely would say if you liked the first one, you should like this one perfectly fine. It's a little different.
Is he kind of doing the same stick though?
No. It actually kind of makes fun. Like Fourth Wall makes fun of itself in the first 10 minutes or so. It's pretty funny on that, but then once the story picks up, it kind of starts going. And I mean, there's not a lot to it, but there definitely is the little.
He did film it during the pandemic too, right?
Yes.
That's what I think is funny about it.
I mean, he apparently, I would say probably back in May or April.
And it's on Amazon Prime, right? Amazon Video.
Yes. Yeah. And you don't have to. It's just
you don't have to
just
pay for
Amazon. Yeah. It's
Nice.
As long as you have that Amazon subscription, you're good.
I'm surprised Amazon is not doing more with
Home
streaming.
media.
No, I'm talking about how come Amazon.
I think they're being quiet about
people
it.
might say some of the most billion-dollar, Fortune 500 companies in the world. You would probably put up there with what? Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon's probably up there, right?
Yeah.
Why is Amazon not paying for some of these movies to come straight to Amazon Video? Like a Greyhound, or like James Bond, or Halloween. You know what I
That's a good
mean?
question, yeah.
I mean, I think they're just being low key.
Amazon has the fucking money to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they could potentially be, the biggest home streaming service in the world right now. But I don't know what they're doing.
I think they could be a contender with Disney Plus if they really put their mind to it, and maybe even surpass them to a point. Yeah.
But they're just one company that I'm just waiting. How come they're not doing this? And they could even make more money by as soon as they purchase that, wait 2 months and then put out the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Amazon
I
Prime
think they're
exclusive.
just
Yeah.
dipping their toes in the
Mhm.
water at this point, seeing what hits, what doesn't hit, if it hits, and going from there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
Universal, but you know what? Universal, they're the only ones who are just kind of. They're so confusing me right now because.
They're late to the game.
Well, Fast and Furious is delayed again. James Bond got delayed, but yet they put out Antebellum. Some theaters picked it up, whatever, however much money it doesn't make, we'll just put on Blu-ray.
Mhm.
It's already out on Blu-ray. And then Halloween Kills, again, something they could have released this year, and it would have made a ton of money at in-home streaming.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't get it.
If Universal had still kept the release date for Halloween Kills, I guarantee you they would have sure made the budget back for that.
And then which Sony did the Craft sequel, which I heard fucking completely sucked. And it's an at-home purchase, and then it's going to be on Blu-ray in a few weeks. So why can people? I don't know. It just baffles the fuck out of me. I'm pissed. I'm hot.
I totally forgot there are two movies I actually watched. The Gentleman, which actually might be in my top of the year.
I liked it.
Really, really enjoyed it. And I'm not much of a Guy Ritchie type of person. And then I watched The Trial of the Chicago 7 on Netflix. That's probably going to be an Oscar contender.
Is that the last? Which one is that?
This is the one. It's written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, who did Molly's Game.
Oh yeah.
And it has Sacha Baron Cohen in it, Eddie Redmayne, Mark Rylance. It's kind of interesting of how much it parallels today's world, today's culture. It's basically about four different groups of individuals that protest the Vietnam War, and how just one little incident can make a domino effect and create violence.
I heard that is probably the one movie that, in today's world with everything going on, that could be the movie that wins Netflix an Oscar.
Yeah, I mean, if that wins, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's fine with me.
Have you seen anything to your standards that would be better than that?
Not. I mean, we're in that time of the year where the Oscar contenders come out, so not yet.
I mean, I swear to God, if Borat wins one, that'd be fucking ridiculous.
I mean, he won the Golden Globe.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, oh my God.
He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
He's. It's not like he's,
I will say this movie really does show that he can fucking act. He's kind of like a Robin Williams. He can do the comedy and the drama.
Dude, I noticed that whenever I watched Les Miserables.
Yeah.
The way he is in that movie, it's just.
And Hugo?
Yeah,
Scorsese's
Hugo.
film? Yeah.
He just loves fucking with people.
I got some recent watches since we last talked. I finished up my Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. Watched Freddy vs. Jason as well. Jason Goes to Hell is just the shittiest movie I've ever seen. Zach, I think you would.
Is it worse? Is it more or worse than Halloween?
It's worse than Halloween 3.
Okay.
I gave Jason Goes to Hell a 3.
Damn.
Alright.
It's pretty bad. Jason X. You know what? I thought I was gonna hate Jason X going into space and stuff, but it was pretty fun.
What is it? Yeah, Jason X is the one where he goes to space.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck does that even happen?
It's not too bad. It's pretty much.
Have you seen it, Ed?
They pretty much, throw everything at him, and he doesn't die. So they like let's freeze him, and if we can't kill him, we'll contain him. So he gets frozen, and pretty much, hundreds years later, they bring him on board and thaw him out, and boom, he's in space. Zach, you made me want to watch Gremlins, so I rewatched Gremlins, and it was a pretty fun movie, fun to watch. I always enjoy Gremlins. Nice. And then I went through and watched The Haunting with Liam Neeson.
I haven't seen it.
I've never seen it before this watch, and it was a pretty fun watch. I can't complain about it.
Isn't Owen Wilson, Catherine Zeta-Jones in it?
Catherine Zeta-Jones. And then I finished up some more horror movies. Just continuing the horror thread. Evil Dead 1 and 2, Halloween 1 and 2, My Bloody Valentine, the original one from 1981. I've never seen it before that watch, and it was a pretty fun watch. And then I started picking up on some Bonds and watching Quantum of Solace today. Rewatched Casino Royale, and pretty fun getting ready for today's episode. So I think it should be a fun talk. Alright, guys, don't forget that this episode is brought to you by Rodeo Cinema, located at 2221 Exchange Avenue, right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You can also give them a quick phone call. They are the official movie theater of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. You can call them at 405-235-FILM. That's 235-3456. They just got done talking about Halloween this past week. Also, so you guys can check them out. They also just got done playing V for Vendetta this past week, which goes hand in hand with last week's episode. So, if all the other movie theaters are closed, don't forget, check them out. They originally opened in 1924. Rodeo Cinema, a non-profit art house theater. So go check them out and get comfy and watch some good classic movies and independent film right here in Oklahoma City. You can also donate and make them your home theater as well. Rodeo Cinema, 2221 Exchange Avenue, right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And Zach, let's get into some 4 things that we probably didn't know about this Quantum of Solace James Bond flick.
Absolutely. Okay, so James Bond and the leading lady Camille share a kiss in the movie, but don't actually make love, which makes that a first in franchise history because he has to bone every woman.
Oh my!
In every movie,
he didn't give her the old 00.
No. It was extensively rumored that Al Pacino would be making a cameo appearance at the end of the movie as the head of the Quantum Organization in a brief role that would be equivalent to that of the master villain Blofeld, which we'll be talking about that in Spectre. With the use of this original Ian Fleming, who's the original author of the books, James Bond story title, there now remains only 4 original Fleming titles that haven't been used as movie titles. Those are The Property of a Lady, the Hildebrand Rarity, Francisco, and 007 in New York. And then this, number 1, Daniel Craig felt Casino Royale was physically, quote-unquote, a walk in the park compared to this film. His training was extensively intense, involving more boxing, running, speedboating, and stunt driving. He was injured 3 times during the filming of this. The most prominent ones included injury to his face, which required 4 stitches, another to his shoulder, which required 6 surgical screws to be inserted in an operation, and his arm in a sling, and then his hand was injured when one of his fingertips was sliced off.
One of his fingertips were sliced off?
Yeah. So,
Jesus.
Hazardy wasn't playing Bond.
Wow. That's pretty insane. Check us out, guys. We have more giveaways, digital copies, all kinds of stuff that we give away on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviereels405. You can also check us out at the Facebook. Just Facebook search the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We pop right up. The Instagram is one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Twitter is at Cine-Men405. And then you guys can email us. We have an extensive amount of emails coming in daily. Just send us a quick email, cinemen921@gmail.com. And in 2 weeks, we're actually going to have an entire dedicated episode to email bag. So don't worry about that episode coming up in just a few weeks. Ed, how do they find the YouTube page?
Go to that facebook.com/moviereels405 page. Go ahead and hit that Learn More button. The Learn More button transports you over to the YouTube channel. That YouTube channel, of course, has that subscribe button. Hit that for us. Go ahead and hit that notification bell to go ahead let be known of every single episode that drops when it drops. Give us a like or a dislike either way, and go ahead and comment, interact with us. We love that, honestly. So yeah. Got all kinds of,
send us your hates, likes, everything in between.
All kinds of choices.
Everything in between.
Boom.
Including some favorite top 5 ideas, which we're getting ready to get into. Alright guys, today, this is one of the most anticipated films of 2008. So today we are talking our top 5 films from 2008. And guys, doing some research for this fun top 5. 2008 was kind of a shit year. I really couldn't find more than maybe 10 or 15 movies that I could possibly really, really love in that year. So I have a few honorable mentions, not a lot. I'll rapid fire through mine. Iron Man, Trick or Treat, Wanted, Sendochi, New York, and then my official honorable mention is Twilight.
Okay.
Ed, you got any honorable mentions, or Zach?
Negative.
I got some.
Go for it.
Changeling, the Angelina Jolie Clint Eastwood movie, which never gets talked about anymore. Wanted, Valkyrie, Iron Man, and my official honorable mention, 21.
21. You like yourself some secretly, I think, though, but you like yourself some what's his name?
Spacey?
Spacey.
Right.
I like Kevin Spacey. I mean, motherfuckers. But yeah, Kevin Spacey used to be my shit. So, Ed, no honorable.
5.
We're gonna go ahead and go into number 5. Ed, why don't you go ahead and lead us on there with your big old number 5?
Number 5 was definitely not the best movie of 2008, but I really liked the concept. I just don't think it was pulled off as well as it could have been. Jumper.
Mm.
It had an okay cast. Definitely some that stood out a lot better than others. Definitely some that weren't as good as others. And some that should have been left in the past.
Hayden Christensen.
We're looking at you, buddy. Sorry about that, man.
Not bad.
Like I said, just a great concept. Some pulled off better than others, but just didn't get.
They really didn't get off the ground the way they wanted
really,
it.
no. And that's why I like it. I really do. I thought it was awesome when I was a kid.
You also have to look at
But-
if it came out during the summertime, right around that Dark Knight era. Nothing made money around that time.
Nobody cared.
So, my number 5 is going to be Pineapple Express. Seth Rogen, James Franco, Gary Cole, Danny McBride, Craig Robinson. I really, Rosie Perez, which nobody talks about either, but I really enjoy Pineapple Express. And it's one of those movies that it doesn't matter really what kind of day you're having. If you sit there and you just watch it, you're going to laugh your ass off. I don't care what kind of comedy you like or dislike. There's going to be at least one scene in there that cracks you up.
Mhm.
So, nobody really talks that much about those two. I think they kind of lost their way. They don't put out no more comedies anymore. I'm talking about Seth Rogen and James Franco. Those two together are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
The last real true movie I've really seen them in that was a comedy was probably
Interview?
The Disaster
Yeah.
Artist.
Well, I wouldn't
That's
really
more of a
count.
biopic.
Yeah, I really wouldn't count that, but I would say Interview or This Is the End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sausage Party.
Yeah. So I kind of wish they would get something together. Directed by the one who directed Halloween Kills and Halloween. So,
So that's so strange.
but yeah, my number 5 is going to be Pineapple Express. Zach, what do you have at number 5?
Number 5 is a film that I really didn't get a lot of credit to when it first came out. And it came out at the same time as Wanted, and so I was just like, oh fuck that, I gotta watch Wanted instead. But I think this one probably depending on who you ask, it's probably in the top 5 of this production companies. Number 5 for me is WALL-E.
Oh yeah.
Disney and Pixar. I mean, what can you say? It's a cute little robot that cleans up our trash here on Earth. I mean, it's more of a love story more than anything else. Really well done. Animation's beautiful, and I'm pretty sure me and my coworker always joke about this. I'm pretty sure we're not far away from those people in the chairs.
Well, truly sedentary lifestyles is what you get when you have all that. So
Exactly.
that's why full automation is not that good of a thing.
No. And probably here in the next couple of weeks, we might be doing an Pixar episode. So
Yeah, something that kind of came from the mind of you, Zach.
yeah.
Me and Ed, we came up with the concept of profile pieces, and we've talked about we've talked about Tom Hanks, we've talked about Adam Sandler, Johnny Depp, Steven Spielberg. But now, you brought up what if we talked about a movie company or a production company? So, I think that might be how we end the year, when just a nice flat out conversation about Disney and Pixar. So,
Yeah. And WALL-E will definitely be in that conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty good number 5. Ed, what do you have at number 4, buddy?
Number 4 is a movie that I really, really like. It shows that this man still has action chops years after his big, big action movies have gone away. Gran Torino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gran Torino, man. Based around a grumpy ass old man and a car.
Yeah.
And I mean, what the fuck else does a guy need? His car. That's all. It's all good. But eventually, he is decently racist. So I mean, let's be real. He is decently racist. He comes to light with a family that is next to him after several different instances, and
He learns.
yeah, he learns to be a bit better of a person and more accepting and more open.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I got to say, all the little small life lessons you can learn from this movie, no matter what your age is. Just an awesome, awesome movie. So, Gran Torino.
My number 4 is going to be Doubt with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Meryl Streep, Amy Adams. This movie, Viola Davis, this movie, I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't even see it until literally just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've heard that's like, acting-wise, it's incredible.
It is. It's a little slow. It's got some pacing issues, but it's really incredible when you just sit there and enjoy it. A Catholic school principal is questioned after a priest's ambitious relationship with a troubled young student. It's an incredible film. It's actually on the watch list this week, so I'm going to have more to talk about next week on my recent watches. It's really something that I feel like one day, it's a slow movie, so it's not like, it's not going to be like, this is the meat and potatoes of a movie. This isn't the, it's not flashy. It's not, it's not going to bring people, it's not going to put asses in seats.
It's not like, is it like Spotlight a little bit?
It's
more talking.
More talking, but it's also, Spotlight is trying to figure out the past and get all these people together.
Right.
This is, of a subject that's continuing right now. So I really want to talk about it one day. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but maybe we should put it up on a poll or something, or just sit and talk about it. Mm-hmm. But Doubt is my number 4 from 2008. Zach, what do you have? What do you got at number 4, Zach?
Number 4 for me, I know people are going to shit on this movie. I'm sorry, but I absolutely love it. I remember I saw it in the theater and I was like really amazed by it. Number 4 for me is Cloverfield.
Oh.
2008's Cloverfield. And I see that look over there. I'm sorry.
I'm just messing with you.
A couple things about this film.
I've never seen it, to be honest.
Shut up. Yeah,
I swear to God, I've never seen it. It's right over there, too.
Okay.
Neither have I.
Well, you never seen it either, Ed?
Nor Cloverfield Lane.
Okay. So a couple things about this movie. It's a monster movie. That's like right up my wheelhouse. I think it's genius what they're able to do with the found footage of, okay, we're just going to do a monster film, but kind of put it in the way of where, if something like that were to happen, everyone and their ass would be recording it. Number 2, J.J. Abrams and his company crew. That was kind of like he was a producer on it. He didn't direct it. Directed by Matt Reeves, who went on to do Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes and is shooting the Batman right now. And the third thing is I love the world of Cloverfield, and then 10 Cloverfield Lane with John Goodman. You don't know, is it true, is it not? And they're Mary Elizabeth Winstead's going back and forth, and the Cloverfield paradox. It reminds me a little bit of 300 Rise of Empire, where it's like a sequel, but kind of in the same realm of the first film. And I really hope that they continue this franchise. I really enjoy it, and I think you can do a lot of different things with that. So Cloverfield's my number 4.
So Cloverfield, while that's going on, Cloverfield Paradox is almost the same movie, but not found footage stuff, right?
Yes, it's kind of happening as those events are happening.
Oh, nice.
So
nice. Ed, what do you have at number 3, sir?
3, I'm actually going to go ahead and align one with your list. Pineapple Express. Man, I've got to say, this movie kind of caught me off guard a little bit here and there just because of some of the little gags they took and all that. Freaking just a good all-around comedy. It's kind of... stoner comedy has been around for probably 30 years or so.
A lot longer than that.
Well, I'm just saying, like mainstream stuff. But the thing is like when you get it like this, to where it's kind of almost to a point perfected, it's kind of hard to get better than that for that matter. So you got to say, you got to hand it to those two. They really do come together, and it's kind of like almost like a grown-ups type thing. Once Seth Rogen, James Franco, and all of them are together, it's almost like kind of like Sandler and everybody else in a way. You know what I mean? Like
Sandler and crew.
yeah, it's like that, but instead of just comedy sticks, it's stoner shit. So yeah. Pineapple Express, great film. If you have never actually checked it out, if you like any of their work together beforehand, give it a look. Honestly,
My number 3, I made a boo-boo and actually put it in my honorable mentions. But my number 3 is going to be Wanted. Zach, you also have this on your honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a movie kind of, if it's not, it doesn't feel like it. But this movie feels like it could be a Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
To where it came out, got a little bit of buzz, didn't make a lot of money, but it gets more and more popular over time.
I think part of it is it's just kind of honestly been one of those films that had so much of a great actual presence, if you will, at first, but then just
It kind of just vanished.
it did.
Yeah.
It did.
Well, it didn't help. Like I was saying about my number 5, it didn't help that it came out the same day as Wall-E.
Right, but I mean,
So
I think over time, as James McAvoy has actually gotten more popular,
you would think that would have,
It's
it would
kind
make
of-
a resurgence.
a little bit, just kind of like a domino effect, because that's the first movie I ever seen him in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that's the same for a lot of people, for that matter.
Yeah, it was the first movie that I really got to experience him in.
Experiment.
But with Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman, like that movie had a lot of buzz around it. Like I said, I went and saw it opening weekend, and it was just a fun movie. But it's one of those that I just haven't had the urge to get to pick up and watch again.
Yeah.
But it was one of those that it stuck with me, and it's very, very memorable.
Yeah.
Like right now, I have about 5 or 6 scenes that's just shooting in my head.
Yeah.
That's making me want to watch it. So,
I mean, the peanut butter and the rats, that's especially fucking hilarious.
so yeah, I highly recommend it. It's my number 3, and I feel like it almost could be a little higher, but the other 2 movies are just simply almost the GOAT of that year. So,
Yeah.
Zach, what do you have at number 3?
Number 3, I'm gonna take a note out of Ed's book. Gran Torino, incredible film. I think it kind of gave a little bit resurgence to Clint Eastwood a little bit. Yeah, he's a racist ass in this movie, but it's just kind of enjoyable a little bit. And then the scene I always remember from that is when he's trying to teach the kid how to cuss. He goes in the barber shop and it just like goes full ham. It's just like, okay,
It's like, get the fuck out and come back in. Like, damn.
start over.
That's where Ed got most of his language from.
Probably, honestly.
How High from 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Gran Torino is streaming on Netflix right now.
Mhm.
So, great movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Ed, what do you have at number 2?
Number 2 will probably be on either one. We'll probably mix these top 2, honestly, between any of us. This one started out pretty much the highest grossing film universe ever. We are talking about 2008's Iron Man. A lot of people weren't fully sure on Robert Downey Jr. They weren't, all this and all that. They were, well, the Hulk hasn't done all that great. They've done 2 iterations so far of it, so, what the fuck is Iron Man
Hulk
gonna
came out
do
after Iron Man.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there were so many different people downing all types of this movie, and this movie is...
It's a great starter.
Yeah, it's simply just, like, this was them this Iron Man is like Tony coming out of that cave. This is that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
What's funny is I think it came out in May. I think in June the Incredible Hulk came out, so it was like a month afterwards.
And I mean, I'm sorry, but there was no chance for the Incredible Hulk.
No.
Iron Man whooped its ass.
Yeah.
Easily. But it started a huge franchise that has been 12 years now in forward progress, and just killing the box office at every other glance. So yeah.
My number 2 is going to be The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke, Marissa Tomei, directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Yes.
Um,
Is Evan Rachel Wood in that?
yes.
Yeah, he plays the daughter.
She plays the daughter.
She plays the daughter.
Yeah. Along with a bunch of other independent professional wrestlers. To me, man, this movie is more than just about wrestling. And fill an episode, come on. But the more and more I get into this movie, and every time I talk about it or every time I see it, I notice something that's different. Whether it pulls me in, whether it's his relationship with his trailer park and the kids that play the video game with him, that's like, dude, get Call of Duty. We're tired of playing fucking Atari with you.
God damn.
Or whether it's his love for the business or his love for his daughter, which he just keeps fucking up the relationship with, or the relationship with Marissa Tomei. And then there's also the relationship with him and his narcotics. So to me, this movie is just different on every single level. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, and it's got funny stuff in it. It's literally one of those movies that, again, why Slumdog Millionaire won Best Picture, I'll never know. It's not Zach. I don't even. It's probably your number 1, huh? Have you seen it?
Spoiler alert.
It's his number 1 and number 2.
It's I don't know how that movie won Best Picture. It's not even in my top 10 of that year.
No. Like
So-
I would
And
I would have much preferred that to the Wrestler to win over Slumdog.
And the only
Millionaire.
reason I own it is because I'm fucking crazy and I have to have everything.
everything.
But
And he was Mickey Rourke was snubbed for Best Actor.
yeah.
Sean Penn won for Milk that year.
Oh my God, what the fuck is going on?
Fucking Milt.
Sean Penn,
Get the fuck out of here.
he hasn't done anything good since Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
And even that.
But that really pissed me off.
That buttered your biscuits.
That buttered my entire ham sausage biscuit. Look, I'm jumping straight into number 1. I'm not even talking to Zach. Zach, what do you got at number 2?
Nobody cares. Johnny's on a rant right now.
Fuck Sean Penn.
Damn.
Damn it. He shouldn't even have been in fucking Carlito's Way with Al Pacino.
Fucking what a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit. Hashtag fuck Sean Scott. Or whatever.
Fuck Sean
Penn. Whatever his goofy ass
We're
looking
just
name is.
causing car wrecks left and right. They're just like, oh fuck. All
Fuck
3
Sean
at one
Penn,
time.
What?
Piece of shit.
Okay, just go ahead and take the floor for like another minute, and I can go do my number 2.
Go for it. I'm sorry. I'm hot.
Number 2. Number 2 is probably going to be your number 1, but there's just one more movie that I thought, in the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't outdo it. But for me, it's just I have more of an emotional journey watching it. Number 2 for me is The Dark Knight. So I mean, we did a whole episode on it. So go hear our full thoughts on that.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But I mean, give a little cookie out there.
Ed, what do you have at number 1?
I'm gonna give a cookie to The Dark Knight. All right, motherfucker.
Go right ahead.
The Dark Knight. We have done a whole piece on it. However, we're not saying this just because Heath Ledger's passing. Yes, that gone ahead and helped the movie out to a point, but it would have done fantastic with or without that, for that matter. It has a lot of different things that this movie did right for the superhero game at that, especially a darker superhero movie in that time frame. Christian Bale, it's kind of hard to replace him as the Batman. Heath Ledger, it's so much of a thing to top him as the Joker now. He's like the epitome of the Joker in a lot of people's books, for that matter. And I mean, don't get me wrong, overall, the game of cat and mouse that they got to play in the whole damn thing was just an amazing experience, especially back then because, of all the tragedy that actually surrounded some of that movie in those times, unfortunately, for that matter. like I said, like Zach and I now have said, you can go ahead and go back to the episode and learn what most of us think about it. But honestly, if you're gonna watch almost any superhero movie other than a Marvel or even current DC, that's definitely the one that should be top 3 on your list. So
I think I'll even top that because that's what my number one is, and it's not even a top 3 superhero movie. It's like a top
10 film overall.
top film of all time.
yeah,
It's one of all the movies that we talked about prior to The Dark Knight had a weak box office and hardly is talked about to today's date because of The Dark Knight. When The Dark Knight came out in June and all these other movies had a big, huge summer, nothing else mattered. The Hulk didn't make any money compared to The Dark Knight. Wanted didn't make any money. That is what a good film is. And it's the performances, like we talked about in the episode a few last year. You know, the first 10 minutes, put that up with any other 10-minute film, first 10-minute opening sequence of any other film, and I think it is just as good, if not better, than any other. The performances, the action. I honestly, and it's probably just some DC phase, but fan phase, but I really feel that The Dark Knight, Marvel, DC, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's any movie that comes close to being as good as The Dark Knight. Endgame, anything. It's
it's one of the it's a film that basically it went past the genre that it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not only just a great superhero movie, it's a great fucking movie, period.
Yeah.
So
I mean, especially the interrogation scene, that was just fucking A.
But yeah, like they said, guys, go back and listen to our thoughts. We talked about Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, all in the archives at Spotify, Anchor, and Podbean. So my number one film of 2008 is The Dark Knight. Zach, which leaves you? What's your number one film?
Number one for me, this really had a chance of becoming one of my top 10 favorite films of all time when we did that episode. But probably the length of the movie kind of just downgrades it just a little bit. Number one for me of 2008 is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Really, really love this film. I think David Fincher knocked it out of the park. Brad Pitt, with the exception of Cliff Booth, I think this is one of his best performances. Kate Blanchett, Taraji P. Henson was very good. One of the few performances of hers that I can actually stand. But it's just even the visuals for the de-aging, going old to young, really well done.
I need to rewatch that again.
Some practical and some CGI, but a very good combination of the two. So,
and it's one of those. That's another movie that's just like a love story gone completely wrong. And yeah, I agree with you though. From what I can remember, Brad Pitt, another snub.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's definitely on a good watch list. Next week, guys, we are talking trains, planes, and automobiles. So our top 5 next week is going to be our top 5 comedy duos. So if there's a comedy movie out there and it has 2 awesome comedian stars in it, like Pineapple Express or Coming to America or Trading Places, find what your funny comedy movie is and put your 2 comedy duos in that top 5. But guys, now it is time for us to talk all about
Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace. I'm excited. It is 11 months in the making. Does anybody else feel the excitement in the air? No?
Sorry about that.
No excitement? I see how it is. So
I'm just glad we finally get to talk a James Bond movie.
Alright guys, don't forget you guys can also have some great Mexican food at San Marcos Mexican Restaurant located at 2301 Southwest 59th Street right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Check them out. They have weekday specials Monday through Friday, all day, $6.99, taco salads, chimichangas, burritos, tamales, and enchiladas. All this and more, San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, the official restaurant of the Cine-Men movie podcast. All right, guys, we are talking about James Bond finally for the first time since January. It had a November 14th release date, which was just a few days ago, of 2008. IMDb has it at 6.6, Rotten Tomatoes at 65%, and then the Metascore is at 58%, with a budget of $230 million, and it had a box office record of $590 million at the box office. Today is episode 115. Today is Quantum of Solace. Zach, do you remember the first time you got to check this out? If it was in theaters, and how did it last? How did it move up to today's viewing?
So I did see this in the theater. I was very excited for it, considering you can go back and listen to our thoughts on Casino Royale. I think that is easily, with the exception of the next film in the franchise, one of the better Bond films. The way Casino ends, you're so hyped up, ready to go. I was very disappointed first time I watched this. I actually there was a long period of time where I thought it just sucked. And then I think when Skyfall came out, my friend was like, it's not that bad. Give it a chance. Rewatch it. And this is a film. The more I watch it, the more I come around on it. It's like, okay, I like this more. The action sequences are really good. Daniel Craig is obviously good as Bond. In the whole grand scheme of things, which we'll talk about probably, this one really doesn't matter compared to what comes next. But overall, I mean, I think this is still a good Bond film. So
It felt like a filler, like a fill-in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's just put this out there to make money. This is the only Daniel Craig Bond movie that I did not watch in the theater. No, I take that back. This and Spectre. I still to this day have not seen Spectre, so
Okay.
I probably won't watch it till the episode. But to me, it was one of those movies that it did feel like a fill-in. But the more and more I watched it, I do agree with you, Zach. I tend to like it. Something about the Bond girl to me feels underrated in this movie.
yeah,
Usually, I guess they go out and pick a really well-known actress for the Bond girl.
Yeah.
But it felt like Casino Royale in this one. It was almost a unknown.
yeah. Well, I mean, Eva Mendes. Eva Green was.
Oh,
I think she was known, but not.
Not to the way she is now.
Yeah.
So, and I think that movie put her on the map. But I was disappointed in the first time I watched it, and I will agree that this is, so far out of the three, this is the weaker of the three.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's not a bad film.
No.
So, Ed, what about you? Is this the first time you watched it?
Yes, it is the first time I've ever watched it. So, yeah.
What do you think about it?
I mean, it's all right. It's not my
Be honest.
type of
It's
movie.
fine. Be honest.
I mean,
I know you. I know you're not like a Bond.
I'm
fan.
not. I don't really know what the fuck I find different about Bond and the Bourne
Franchise.
franchise compared to like John Wick or something. I don't know, but they just don't.
They are more of a steady, slow pace action drama compared to where John Wick is balls out, fast pace. We're going to get this done in an hour and 20 minutes. Compared to where the James Bond sets up a story, has some meaning, and then it gives you the ending.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Like, I mean, I will say, and this is nitpicking, so please just take it lightly. Like, there are a few little subtle inconsistencies on it, especially with James Bond's wounds, especially facial wounds. Because there's, like, some scenes where he's really fucked up and he's just been through the shredder, and then the next scene he's perfectly fine. Like, oh, I just jumped out of the shower. It heals me. I'm fucking Wolverine.
Right.
British guy, Like, because he had a big-ass cut on his right cheek. Bunch of blood right there, too. And in the next scene when they're walking into the hotel, he's good. He's plain and cool. And I'm like, this doesn't really seem like it happens over months. It seemed like it happens at most over a period of maybe a week tops.
Right.
So there's no way.
So the time consistency of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just little things. Like I said, tiny things like that. But I mean, that's not really what doesn't really draw me in. That's not what puts me off. It's just I don't know.
I will say this James Bond movie has a lot it's a bigger, fast paced action opening than Casino Royale to me.
Mm-hmm.
With the car scene, and actually the entire Italy scene in general in this movie, the opening is pretty phenomenal to me. Right before you get to the opening credits, I think to me it was a little bit better of an opening than Casino Royale.
Like, I mean, I guess the other big pick I'd say would be some of the camera work, especially during the fighting sequences. It's just so
it's
like
very cutty. Yeah.
It's like a fucking fast-paced pinball match, and it's like, dude, okay, let me watch the fight, not just he's over here, he's over here, he's over here. It's like a fucking squirrel, like nut, you know. So it's
a pretty good way to put that, I guess.
Like I'm just like, okay, dude, like fuck, it would disorient the shit out of a lot of people.
No, I think it's just the cinematography in the action scenes.
Yeah,
the action sequences to me. Again, you're bringing up, you're saying that's some of the bad parts of the movie. To me, that is a lot better than what it was during Casino Royale. Like Casino Royale is just unless you want to sit there and watch them play cards for 2.5 hours, this one is a lot more fast paced, and I enjoy the steady motion of the camera going back and forth. To me, that's what makes a good action sequence.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll agree with Ed, and I'll agree with both of y'all onto the action scenes. I mean, the opening sequence of the car chase is really well done.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, it's very cut. You know, you rear view mirror, put the foot on the gas, turn the car around. It's just like, okay, can we just like have a wide shot where we can actually see the action?
I mean, even the boat scene for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he jumped and then all of a sudden it's staring at the one boat and then he jumps and all of a sudden cut to the other, and it's like, dude, okay, fuck. Subtle transitions are like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, the story's not bad. I like the story. The story's not the thing I'm really, on, but I mean, that's the only thing that really kind of just like made me go, fuck, dude, okay. And it's got a lot of like close-ups. You see, his elbow is doing this and that and that and that and that, and then it's like, okay, that's a steady fucking shot, but I only seen like the dude's fucking elbow and chest.
Exactly. But if you see the wide shot of that, you can see what he's actually doing.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of cool. Like, I don't, it's like in boxing if it's only zoomed in on their fucking hands and that's all you see. Like, you don't see Mayweather get fucking rocked, or you don't see Mayweather dodging a shot and then coming up with an uppercut. You just see, oh shit, this guy's hands hit Mayweather. Oh shit, that hand hit this. Who the fuck is who? Kind of thing.
I will say though, I really enjoy the comment that Bond does. Like after the chase, he goes into the hideout and says, "Time to get out," and then it opens up into the Jack White, Alicia Keys song, "Another Way to Die." Out of I know you haven't seen all of the Bonds, but the theme song compared to the ones that you have seen, did you like it?
This opening theme song is actually really good. I think it's John White and Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked this better than Casino Royale.
Jack White.
Yeah, Jack White.
Yeah.
And going through some of the older Bond films the past few days, I don't know. Some of them I almost feel like they're unwatchable because of how slow paced they are. Mm-hmm. But this one is just like a fresh box of popcorn. It's hot, ready to go, and it's just melting and oozing with charisma. Mm-hmm. Something which a lot of Bond films don't have. I didn't like this cast though. I didn't. Other than I do like Daniel Craig, Judi Dench, obviously.
What about David Harbour?
I love David Harbour, Jeffrey Wright, but some of the other sequences, I didn't like the villain in this one at all.
No.
And I guess that's played by, is it Dominic Green?
Yeah.
Matthew? Okay. Camille, help me pronounce her name. I don't want to butcher it.
Olga Kurylenko. We're
going to call her Olga.
Olga, yeah.
But
I will agree with you. I think she's very,
she's underrated. She's a good Bond girl. She has that Bond look to her.
Mm-hmm. And she's beautiful.
Yeah. And then I guess, is it mostly taking place in Italy? Let me go over the synopsis right quick. James Bond descends into a mystery as he tries to stop a mysterious organization from eliminating a country's most valuable resource. Which, and I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of all about fuel.
Water.
Water.
Yeah. Because I
Um,
thought it was about. Because on this rewatch, I was like, okay, so this is about oil again, but no, it's water.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, this is compared to the other James Bonds, and I haven't seen a lot of them, but this is more of a sequel than the other ones because it takes place right after the end of Casino, and
because
Bond is
Casino
still-
Royale, they were talking about Field 2, right?
Yes,
It was, yeah.
but not so much that. He's more of on a revenge spree to
Somebody tried to kill Judi Dench.
Well, no,
that's in the next one.
Okay.
Vespar.
Vesper, yeah.
The female from the last Bond.
The one that
Vesper.
the one she drowned, right?
Yeah. I've got to say, yeah, Michael Green, or the one who played Green.
He wasn't too good.
No, because okay.
Oh, you're talking about the villain.
Yes. Did y'all notice the crackhead eyes that dude has?
Well-
That dude's eyes are surprise, motherfucker, all the time.
Well,
Like,
he's just not menacing. You know, Mads Mikkelsen is menacing. Javier Bardem in Skyfall is really fucking menacing. It's just okay.
I almost feel like the guy who plays Renee could have been a better villain than him.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, he's just an evil. It's just basically an evil corporation trying to get millions out of a country.
like, I mean, he looks the part of a scumbag billionaire or whatever.
Mm.
But I mean, other than that, he looks like he's on coke half the time. Because
Yeah.
literally, his eyes are like $50 size. So it's just like, dude, what the fuck are you so surprised for all the fucking time? Like, oh shit, Bond's here.
You mean to
Fuck,
tell me that
you know.
was not going to happen?
Like, he's on my trail. He's here. You
And this
know,
one was directed by Mark Foster, who we don't really talk a lot about, I guess, Bond directors,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the next two are.
Sam
Yeah.
Mendes, yeah.
But Mark Foster directed movies like, let's see, his last movie he directed Christopher Robin, World War Z, Machine Gun Preacher, Quantum of Solace, Finding Neverland.
That's a good movie.
Monsters Ball. He's directed quite a bit of decent movies.
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Than Fiction. So I don't know.
It's one of those things. It's kind of, I call it the Marvel effect, where you take, you know, a big franchise takes a maybe Stranger Than Fiction it wasn't a huge success, but it was people.
Finding
Well,
Neverland though
yeah,
was
that
a
was a more of an
Oscar
independent
nominated movie.
Yeah, you take these little independent directors and give them a big franchise. So, and that's kind of what this was.
And it kind of,
I wouldn't say it backfired. I think there were so many ideas because in doing the research for this movie, I read that the script for this really suffered due to the writer's strike of 2008, and so
that was in 2008, wasn't it?
yeah, this movie was originally going to be like 2 hours and 40 minutes,
Jesus.
but a lot of it was just cut out because it just wasn't,
Is that why it just feels? Some of this movie just feels off compared to all the others.
Yeah, I would say that
Because
I feel like there's
this is also the shortest Bond movie of all.
yeah, like an hour and 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So, which
And then you look down, and then you look right back up, and the ending is kind of just there, with not really a good explanation on why it ended.
no,
You know what I mean?
no.
I will say I do appreciate the one thing I do appreciate about Bond is they go into different countries. They actually have the language of that country spoken and all that. And I mean, honestly, even like, the Tegu in this film, the little big ass lizard that was in the desert scene at first, I appreciate stuff like that, just going in and
You enjoy the production design.
yeah, just at least they put a lot of thought into it. Even if you don't like James Bond films or as a character or whatever have you, I appreciate that they put a lot of big.
I would say you brought up a good point, but I'm gonna before we get to that, I will say the opening sequence when the chase sequence when they're going across the roofs, the Italy roofs. One of my favorite scenes, which I probably should save till later, was the scaffolding fight where they fall through the window and they're just jumping up and down on the scaffolding. I thought that was really well done.
There you go. Hell yeah. But
the you brought up, Ed, the idea that it's a revenge story, but also a political thriller, in the idea that this jackass wants to steal basically another country. You think it's oil because everything, because one of the girls gets bathed in oil.
Yeah, Miss Fields does.
Yeah, but it's water. The whole concept about this is stealing another country's water supply.
I was about to say, in the fucked up aspect of things, if you really want to be a complete and total dickhead, I mean, look at Rango.
Yeah.
What'd the turtle do? He fucking held back the water. You know, he didn't hold back the fucking oil. It's the same kind of shit. Rango pulled off from fucking James Bond, man. No, but in all seriousness, I mean,
I forgot all about that until you brought that up.
in all seriousness, though, you know, you can control a population by cutting off a vital resource like that. I mean, oil and gas, they are nice things to have with your car and all that, especially if you have a job across town. That's a great thing to have. But, you know, what's essential for life is
You got Snickers in there?
water. I mean, essentially, it's water. You know, water and food, shelter is another necessity for that matter. But you cut those
Even
three
the
things off.
side gig guy who's Green's little sidekick that looks
The
like
German?
the one who looks like a malnourished Quentin Tarantino right there.
Fucking, he's got the same eyes, too.
He would make a better villain than Green.
He really would. I mean, don't get me wrong.
He's got that same bowl cut as Quentin Tarantino. He just looks like he hadn't eaten in years.
He's got that fucking rapist eyes. He really does, man.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
like he fucking Volschnucken von Spragen and fucking just jumps on you and shit. I don't even know what the fuck
Well,
I
I
just
mean-
said, so forgive me for any of you German folk out there, but
Well, I mean, Inglourious Basterds was the next year, so.
I
just-
after him.
I just kind of feel like this movie is a little. Maybe you know, it's like maybe if there was. Do you think there's a director's cut out there somewhere that is 2.5 hours long? Because this does feel just like. It almost feels too sketched out. Like it does
Like,
feel like
we
there's.
have the outline of the film, but not the
Yeah.
skin and bones.
Yeah.
Not the meat and potatoes.
I mean, I'm just saying it feels like there is. If you're watching. You know, this feels like maybe the theatrical edition of Batman vs Superman compared to the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's true.
There,
You think there's a director's cut where it's like a lot longer, a lot more.
because it feels like they gave you it feels like, hey, here's the plot, here's action scenes, you're done. It feels like there is a lot of slower times missing from this film. That's just me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, but at the same time, because
Oh God.
because
Are you alright there?
I'm alright.
you okay, Johnny?
Okay.
Had a stroke.
I think because of the nature of what came before with Casino, I mean, it was really going to be hard to match that. And so, I mean, as long as I think what people cared about the most was like Bond's revenge mission, because I don't think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's really ever been done in the franchise. And so that plus, I mean, that was plot A, and then plot B is this, water tycoon thing.
Yeah, it just feels like there is a lot more missing. But I mean, the villain too. I just don't see what they saw in this guy bringing him in as a villain.
No,
It was the crackhead eyes.
probably.
And he's not like the same actor from before, right? He's not in Casino Royale.
No. The only one that comes from Casino, well, other than the core group, was Mr. White at the end of the film. So, and even then, that really has no tie in the next one until we get to Spectre. So
it's just, I mean, maybe they saw that was an issue with James Bond, and so they brought in bigger names for Skyfall and Spectre, because they did. And then now even for No Time to Die, boom, you have a Oscar winner actor coming in playing the villain.
yeah,
But do any of you guys think that James Bond is your dad or your dad's?
It's your dad's favorite fucking.
Is your dad's
franchise.
franchise? There you go. And now we're grown up with maybe Bourne, John Wick.
Marvel, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't think my dad was ever really into James Bond, but I mean, I'm not gonna say that he didn't like it. I think he was just like it, like kind of like Ed, like it's fine, whatever.
So is it something like how did you come across and get thrown into James Bond? Was it because of Casino Royale, or did you watch some of the older ones before?
No, really, the only one before that I had watched was Die Another Day, Pierce Brosnan's last film. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then when they introduced Daniel Craig, I was like, okay. And then everyone has their Bond that they grew up with, and for me, that was Daniel Craig.
Ye-
So that's why I like these films more than the others.
You guys might also agree, but the only reason I ever knew or found out about a James Bond, there's two things that come into my future. The first one was GoldenEye, the Nintendo 64 game.
Mhm.
The second one was my dad and him trying to be Sean Connery, talking shit about Sean Connery, trying to do that voice. Those are the only two things that ever brought me into any kind of James Bond franchise.
Mhm.
And then I will agree with you, Zach. Boom, Daniel Craig comes out with all these movies, and they're like, oh, you got to go see James Bond. What about you, Ed? Do you have any tie-in to any of the franchise?
I mean, a little bit of playing GoldenEye, but
That movie I used to get queasy off of it.
other than, well, no, a little, just
Game?
the video game,
Oh.
yeah. Other than that, nothing really. I mean, I've known the name and all that, but other than that, nothing really ties me to it.
If it wasn't for any of these episodes, would you ever have the desire to click play on any of those movies? No?
Not really, no. I just never, okay, like, I've never really had that, even with Bourne, for that matter, I don't.
Same way with Bourne.
Same way. And
What do you think it is, Zach?
I just don't. I don't think you like spy stuff.
Not really, and I mean, it's just...
Even North by Northwest, you kind of gave it like a 6. You weren't really high on it. But
No,
even for
I think you gave it a 4, to be honest.
I think I did give it a 6, but yeah.
but what is it for you, Zach? Why? And it's not just that. Sometimes I have to be in the mood to watch one of these movies.
Right.
What do you think it is about some of these espionage type movies?
I think.
Are you the same way? Can you sit and say you go home today, watch Skyfall, and you're going to absolutely love it, or Spectre, or do you have to be in the mood to watch it?
When we do Skyfall, I'll go more in detail about that. But for me, Skyfall was I think it's just that world that you're a badass, you're a spy, you get to be with the sexy women, you get all these cool gadgets, the cars, and it's just that it's the idea that you're.
You want to be an M16, basically.
Yeah. You just want to be that guy that, everybody looks up to, So.
It's a fun franchise, but to me, I just have to really want to kind of be in the mood to watch James Bond movie. I did enjoy this watch along with it, of Quantum of Solace, but to me, if I did have 3 negatives about the movie, and it's, to me, it's a big negative. I'll let you guys kind of entwine and kind of give me some kind of nod at it. But my big 3 negatives about this movie is the subplot, the villain, and the surrounding cast. Those are my big 3 nitpicks, and it kind of ruined the movie for me.
Well, and I'll take it one step further. This one, this really has nothing to do with going forward. Plot wise, it's just like, okay, the shadowy organization, that we all fear that's more of like a little kindergarten compared to what happens. I know you haven't seen it, but what happens in Spectre. So
Is that the name of the organization, is Spectre?
Yeah.
But Spectre is not even brought up into this movie, is it?
No. And so it's just kind of like, why? Like you said, John, it's basically feels like why are we doing this?
Because you even brought it up last January when we talked about Casino Royale. You were like, you know what, we can even skip Quantum of Solace and just go straight into Skyfall.
Yeah, because it's just and even Skyfall is almost like another reboot.
Really?
Of the franchise. Like, I don't know if I know you've seen Skyfall, but it's probably been a while.
2012.
Oh, when it came out.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you watch that, you'll immediately see that even Craig's Bond feels older, feels more seasoned, kind of like Affleck's Batman.
Okay.
And so you're just kind of like, okay, so this is like another thread of that story that leads into Spectre and ultimately will end with No Time to Die.
So Quantum of Solace then is, like you just said, pretty much the revenge film. Mm-hmm. They get that out of the way. It's pretty much Casino Royale Part 2.
Yeah.
Bond's Revenge, and then
Basically.
you go into Skyfall. And then Skyfall, like you just said, is pretty much just rebooting the franchise.
Yeah.
Strange. So, in your mind, are all these Bond films that Craig's in a good standalone movie if you just want to watch that one?
I would say that. I would say that. Yeah. I mean,
You don't have to watch the other two to watch Skyfall,
no.
and you don't have to watch Skyfall to watch Spectre.
There are Spectre. I would say Spectre out of all of them, which, with the exception of No Time to Die, we haven't seen that yet. Spectre has more of. They really thought this was going to be Craig's last, and so they kind of take things from the previous films and bring it in. But like as a whole, they stand alone, with the exception of this one.
Okay. So,
So,
what do you think, Ed?
I mean, I've only seen 2 James Bond movies.
Which would be Casino Royale and this one, right?
Correct.
So when we do the other ones, then you'll be caught up right along then, going into, if we ever do get to watch No Time to Die in the theater.
Yeah.
would you? Okay, here's a question here. Given if we get to that point and you've seen the next 2, Skyfall and Spectre, would you pay money to go see No Time to Die?
If it wasn't for the podcast.
I mean, probably.
Be truthfully.
Probably not. Just never really had much of a craving or whatever you want to call it to actually go and see a Bond movie. I mean,
it's just I feel like it's for me. I think it's just like for you, it's there. You know, you understand. People love it.
I'm gonna put it in words to hopefully everybody else can understand. It's not my cup of tea, and I'm speaking as you. It's not my cup of tea unless it's cold outside.
I mean,
right?
Even then, I don't know.
Even then, you might have to go with some hot water and salt, right?
I like how you actually added the British in there.
Yeah.
The cup of tea. But, I mean, okay, it's like this. Would you pay to go, if How High was released in theaters again, would you go and pay to see that?
Probably not. No.
Okay. Kind of the same thing. And I mean, it's just not my deal. It's just not my thing. That's all it is. You know, it's nothing against it. So far, they're good cinematically. They have a decent plot. I mean, you're saying it doesn't really progress itself, and maybe it's because of that.
Mm-hmm. But Bond films in nature are always like that. It's always a singular, structured story, and it's never really brought back up unless it's the Craig films. So
that's one thing I don't like about probably Bond films. If I could pick, is I don't like how they every 4 years or every 4 movies or 5 movies they get a new actor, and then it's like any of those other movies never existed. Does that make that's kind of?
It's kind of like, okay, you had your time, but now we're going to start over.
Right.
Yeah.
What I mean, has there been anything like that before in any other kind of movies? Like, okay, we have this huge franchise, but we got a new actor, and none of those other exist.
What about the and you'll probably be able to speak more to this, the Star Trek franchise, because you have the original
Star Trek. Okay.
Next Generation.
Star Trek, you have the original films 1 through 6 go together.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the this Captain Spock and
Kirk.
Those go together. The Next Generation motion picture movies are at the very first Next Generation movie with Patrick Stewart. It does have that Captain Kirk passing on the torch to the next generation.
Okay.
So they do go together.
Okay.
And then when you have the J.J. Abrams Star Treks, obviously, I like how they did that because I was like, oh, those don't even matter. False.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams is the way he did it was he brings in this new young cast, but there's a dimension universe out there that, hey, you know,
the original cast
is there in the future.
Okay.
And then, have you seen any of the J.J. Abrams Star Treks?
So this is they're more of a prequel.
Kind of.
To the original.
But it's make your own story.
Okay.
Captain Spock meets young Spock, and he's like, hey, you know, you're fighting with him now, but in a few decades, he's going to save your ass.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we get to Skyfall.
Goddamn, now you make me want to talk Star Trek.
When we get to Skyfall, I will say there's definitely like you say, a handoff
Mhm.
specifically to a certain character, and that kind of sets up. You kind of get the idea that this is more of a prequel to like
In
Doctor
Skyfall?
No. Yeah. When you watch it, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing.
To Doctor No with
Well, not so much the whole concept of the Bond characters of Q and Moneypenny and all that.
Oh, okay.
So, but when you watch it, you'll be like, oh, I get it.
So none of these Bonds ever mix with any of the older Bonds.
No.
Oh, okay. You got me excited
It's not like
there.
it's not like there's like a.
I was like, wait a minute, is there an old Sean Connery at the end of Skyfall?
It's not like there's a MCU of Bond where like Dalton and Craig and Pearson
Oh, okay.
all come out or anything.
I mean, honestly, like, even if they gone ahead and connected, like, the head of it, you know, because, I mean, let's look on, and I know this is a completely different thing, and, you know, but as an organization standpoint, let's look at MIB. You know what I mean? With,
Like if somehow just, even if one thing created this whole universe, if just somehow they tied together.
yeah, because, I mean, even if it was M or Agent Z, you know, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you know, Will Smith or Agent J connects that whole thing together. M could connect this whole thing together. Even if she just played, you know, the head, you do this, you do that, or even if, you know, her first couple films, she's got a lot of action roles, and then after you know, she's like 30 years older because she's been used in 16 different fucking films.
Right.
You know, that'd be kind of a cool thing, but I mean, you know, it's kind of a rarity to have stuff like that, especially, I mean, like,
And like you said, M is definitely that character in Men in Black.
Yeah.
She's basically he is the anchor
yeah.
to that character.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I was just using that because I'm like, you know, a lot of it's centralized around her and what she says. Because, I mean, you know, she says pull his passports and cards. They fucking, yes, ma'am. It was 2 seconds later and it's done. You know, oh, he's my agent. I trust him. Oh, okay, shit. Well, I guess let's help him.
Well, yeah, and I totally agree. And when you watch Skyfall, she's the mission.
Yeah.
She definitely becomes the mission of Bond.
I will say, at first, you know, I was like, what was I going to say? I'm kind of with Ed on certain spy films. Like, I have to be in the mood to watch, like, Bond or Bourne, stuff like that. But I will say, when I went through my Mission Impossible binge a few weeks ago, or months ago, I was like, what the fuck are these, and what have I been missing out on?
Yeah.
I don't know why or how Tom Cruise just does it, but those Mission Impossible movies I feel like they're a step above all the rest when it comes to spy espionage movies.
Well, I mean, I don't know how in depth and in, you know, character Daniel Craig goes for that matter, because I've never really gone.
Does he do all of his own stunts?
He tries, yeah. It's not like fucking Cruise where he'll like strap himself to a plane and, you know, go.
I think that's the small bit that kind of, and don't get me wrong, you know, I've been on the hashtag fuck Tom Cruise thing for a long time.
Hey, you watch
now.
your fucking mouth,
fuck
sir.
Tom Cruise. And fuck Sean Penn too.
Yeah, fuck Sean Penn.
Fuck Sean Penn.
Now look what you got him doing.
I know. Fucking, but no, I mean, I guess that does make him a little different because he will do crazy off the wall shit like that, you know, or learn how to fly a fucking jet, you know,
Well,
or
and-
Maverick or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, Mission Impossible, and you can make an argument for Bourne. Those are our James Bonds,
Yeah.
right? Like
I
our
mean, yeah.
American characters.
That's
Essentially,
true.
yeah. Because, I mean, you know, in this, they do say, you know, either you stop them or the Americans will.
Because like this
oh,
movie,
shit.
Quantum of Solace almost grossed $529 million at the box office.
Mhm.
I believe that is domestic.
Yeah.
That's worldwide. So I'm kind of guessing it's little. Do you think that it does better over there in the UK than it does here, or do you think it does better here?
I think it's
Or about the same?
It probably. I think Britain and America have their Bond fans, but you know, obviously, since it's a Britain property, that's
Because all the books are.
yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. Okay, and I know this is a little bit off the books or whatever you want to call it, but I'm kind of surprised we don't have like a BBC streaming platform. You know?
BBC.
Yeah, British
We do.
Broadcasting Channel. That, I mean,
Oh, go for it.
kind of streaming app and all that good stuff. I mean, I mean, maybe we do. I've never really just.
I know we have the BBC channel here in America, but I don't know. They might have their own network now with all these other networks popping up. But yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they could go ahead and, hell, let them fucking buy Bond. They could go ahead and fucking rocket that shit out of fucking space if they wanted,
Going through any favorite scenes. Does anybody have any favorite scenes talking about Quantum of Solace, Ed?
I will say the whole party scene. I like a lot of the dialogue in the Bond films. I think that's, to me, the best part of it because it's actually, because, okay, like I said, the fighting is like zoomed in real close and you see what his elbow did. Oh, here's his knee. Oh, he's going to kick some guy in the face. Here's a close-up shot of the foot coming to the face. Shit like that. So, I mean,
But what about this one?
but like with this, it's more the dialogue that I really, really like.
You didn't have a favorite scene?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the party. The party where the eco party or whatever, where they get invited and he goes up and saves the one, but he kind of almost trades Miss Fields out for Camila. In all seriousness, I mean, she goes up there herself and trips.
She's the one that gets she's the one that gets the black stuff laid on it, right?
Oil.
Tar oil, yeah.
Which I thought that's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Seeing her just laying there with the looking like the Black Dahliama.
Her fucking lungs were filled with oil. Like, god damn, dude, that's a flex right there.
Let me put this in perspective. So, according to Forbes, global revenue, so all over the world, Skyfall is number one with 1.1 billion. Spectre 879.6 million. Casino Royale 594.4 million, and then Quantum is like right behind it with 591.7. So I mean they've continually gone up.
Pretty much, it's almost a $3 billion franchise with him.
Yeah.
I wonder what makes, because you got to look at it. I guess Skyfall was it the cast or was it just word of mouth that got it so high?
I think it was the word of mouth because a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, this is like."
Not to mention, I mean, it is a good film.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think it was like, wow, we've never really seen Bond done this way, and so it was. I know I bought into the hype, which we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, well, and I think that's going to be the very last episode of the year, Skyfall. I think that is just a great way to end the year, with Skyfall, the kind of the year that everybody's had. I think Skyfall would be a perfect way to end the year.
Because we're falling from the sky.
So. Zach, what about you? Do you have any favorite scenes of Quantum of Solace?
I do like Bond and Camille's relationship in this. I think it, like we said on the outside, I think she's one of the most underrated Bond women. Probably my favorite scene is the scaffolding fight where they fall through the window and they're going all over the place with that, and even I would say even the ambush where he's talking to Felix and he has to get out of the bar as quickly as he can. I thought that was real well done too.
The bar with Pablo?
Sure.
No, in all seriousness, I'd probably say my favorite scenes would be the scene of the party dinner scene, Ed, where the girl is just covered in the black tar or the oil, and then the beginning opening sequence of Italy. To me, this movie does have some more flaws than positives for me, but I think we're going to go ahead and give it a star rating. If I had to give this movie a star rating, I'm going to go ahead and give it I'm going to give it a 5. This is, to me, it's a good movie. That's kind of hard. Oh, it's a good movie. You give it a 5. To me, it's a good Bond film, but it's the lowest tier Bond films that you could probably go out and see. I just couldn't get into it with after the opening scene. It kind of like went all the way up for me. I was super excited, and then the rest of it was just low and went all the way down. And I think it just feels like there's a lot missing from it when I'm watching it. And then the actor who played the villain was not very good to me. Because in all the James Bond movies, you have, what do you have? You have to have a good villain for James Bond to go up against. Yeah. And it just...
a good adversary.
Yeah. It wasn't it for me. Not to say it was not a trash movie. I still enjoyed it, so I will give it a 5. A solid. You know, I'll bump it up. I'll give it a 5.5. I think this is my first half rating, guys. Put this down in history. I've always dogged you guys for doing it. But this is my first half rating, so I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Can you believe this son of a bitch, Ed?
It's not trash. It's a good time watch. I think if you enjoy Bond and if you are a Bond fan, I think you should watch it at least once to give your thoughts on it. But yeah, I'll give it a 5.5.
Fucking hypocrite.
So, Zach, what about you?
Honestly, like I'd probably be where you're at. The first time I watched it at 5, I was like, it's not that good. But I appreciate this film the more I watch it. Granted, I only watch it. This is really only been my third rewatch of it. I'm gonna give it a 7. I think it's really gone up since the first time I watched it, and in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. This one really does suck compared to what comes next, and even after, and even what came before with Casino. But still, I think is it a great Bond film? Is it even a great action film? Not really, but there's enough enjoyable pieces in it that I think you could still have an enjoyable time watching it.
Ed, what about you?
Well,
2.
I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate some of the plot as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it a 5, straight 5. Probably won't ever really watch it again. Honestly, it's not that I think Daniel Craig is shit. It's just like I think he did a great job in this. I thought M was great.
It's not your thing.
Yeah, it's just not really my deal at all. So it's all good. But yeah, 5 out of 10.
5. All right, guys, don't forget, check it out. You can send us an email at cinemen921@gmail.com. We will go ahead and talk about all your emails that you send us. So go ahead and send us some emails. You can also send us messages on the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So yeah, send us some emails. We have a lot of emails to go through, guys. So don't forget, in 2 weeks we will be doing an email bag episode. So here we go. Jeff here from Norman. Do you guys think that Universal will sell James Bond? I heard that they want to sell it for $400 million. Damn. So
I think at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna happen because they're gonna. I think Universal's in the business of we're gonna make as much money as we can.
I don't think anybody will just pay that much money for that movie.
No.
So
I mean, unless it's you get No Time to Die in the entire James Bond catalog, then maybe. But if it's just that, then maybe not.
Nigel says best horror movies from the 80s would be Lost Boys, Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, The Blob, and my number 1 is Nightmare on Elm Street. Derek says never has been a big James Bond fan, but I must say the Daniel Craig films keep me interested. Love James Bond just because of Daniel Craig. So
and then when Daniel Craig's done, that's it.
There you go.
Gabriel says, what is y'all's favorite go-to dish at family gatherings on Thanksgiving? Mine would be my grandma's stuffing, which kind of upsets me because she died in March.
Oh.
It sucks. So maybe you can find a recipe and kind of do yourself. Ed, what about you? You have a favorite go-to dish?
Fucking A after that, man.
Candy corn, huh?
Candy corn.
Yeah. No, with my family where I go to Thanksgiving, they're not traditional at all. So I'd have to say my aunt's shredded barbecue chicken. That is fucking amazing. The first year, about 6-7 years ago, she made it. Me and my grandpa actually kind of we ate so much that we kind of fell comatose, and we literally were asleep for half of the gatherings.
Nice. Zach, what about you? You have a special go-to dish?
For me, it's even as a kid, it's banana pudding. My grandmother used to make it from scratch on the stove and everything, and it was joyous.
However,
Nice.
I will say, me and that same aunt will fight over the lemon meringue or lemon pies. So that's a very close second.
Nice.
So yeah.
I would have to say probably mine would be my sister's green bean casserole.
Mm.
She makes it every year. And then probably my wife's grandma's broccoli casserole.
Nice.
Some pretty good stuff.
What's a dish you do not like? You're just like, fuck, get that out of my face.
I don't know where it comes from, but somebody takes like little cuts of hot dogs and puts bacon wrapped around it. I'm just like, I don't know why. Or beans. Somebody already brings beans for Thanksgiving, and they're not even like great beans. They're like, I think they're like real sugary canned beans. I'm not sure.
Dollar General beans.
Maybe.
Green bean casserole, deviled eggs.
You don't like deviled
Fucking
eggs?
Hell no. Hell no.
Damn.
The cranberries is it for me? It's like
You don't like cranberries?
No.
I very slowly came onto the cranberry side. Very slowly.
Do you
Ago.
like the cranberry sauce that looks like a can, or do you like the cranberry sauce that has the real chunks of cranberries in it?
The real? I mean, the can's okay, but the real is definitely better.
Sam G69 says, so with Dune being postponed for another fucking year, have you guys ever thought about reviewing the original movie?
The what?
Dune.
Oh,
I think it'd be kind of
that'd
a
be
fun
interesting.
thing.
I've never seen it. That'd be interesting.
Me neither. So, Sarah97 says, what are some of your goals for yourselves with the podcast in 2021?
We're gonna take over the world, like COVID took over.
That'd be great.
I personally want to do, my ultimate goal for this podcast is to be in a studio by next year, or with any future goals to be doing this in a studio, whether it be somewhere Tyler Media on the north side here in Oklahoma City, or just somewhere. So,
personally, we've already kind of gotten to the goals. Like I'd just like to keep continuing on with all three of y'all. I mean, Craig's in a deal right now, but with you, Craig and Zach, I think we've got good dynamics when all four of us come together. I think it's a great time. Personally, I just love to cranking out these episodes. So yeah,
I think it'd be cool to do. And maybe we could do this next year. Have some special guests on the show and review an episode with us.
Yeah, more special guests is also going to be a thing. I mean, we had the one director this year, Christopher Wells, who his movie is. You guys can check it out, The Luring. Yeah, I agree with both you guys. A, I would like to bring in some revenue. B, I would like to have this done in an actual professional studio. Continue it on with you guys. I wouldn't want to do it with nobody else, and then bring in some special guests.
Honestly, one thing I think would be really fucking cool to do. One of the two things, and I know we've talked about it already a while back. It would be like a podcast convention, or even go to like a Comic-Con.
Oh yeah,
they do. They
podcast on that.
Again, 2020 kind of ruined some stuff like that because they do have podcast conventions in Texas. So
the only way Johnny would kick us off is if Adam Sandler been
I swear to God.
What's his face from Hill or High Water?
Ben Foster
come in and say, hey, can we do the show?
But I mean, honestly, those would be.
You guys kind of look like Ben Foster.
That'd be a goal for me, honestly. I'd like to do one of those two. That'd be really fucking cool.
Henry says, I would give Quantum of Solace a 9. Solid Bond flick. I really enjoyed it. To me, it is one of the better of the first two between this and Casino Royale. James says, what are some of the movies that you guys want to review next year? Whether it be old, new, or something you might have already talked about. What are some movies that you guys would want to talk about?
Well, I know there's a lot of new movies that were supposed to come out that we'd like to talk about.
So, we kind of talked about this off air. I think what we might start doing starting in January is that all three of us pick a movie that, Johnny will pick one, I'll pick one, Ed will pick one. We'll do that, and depending on how many Mondays there are in the month, we might have you guys pick an episode.
Yeah.
So
like if there's 4 Mondays, one of you guys will pick one, like Zach said, and then I'll pick one out of the email bag, and then kind of do it like that. So Ed, you will get to pick as long as it's watchable, and as long as we can find it in this library or on HBO Max or Hulu or Netflix, as long as you can find it, and we can, you want to review it, we'll dedicate an entire 2-hour episode to that movie.
Oh yeah.
We might be opening Pandora's box with that.
But as far as, is there a movie that you guys would like to talk about right off the bat next year, or something that's in your minds? Friday? I wouldn't mind. We kind of got into it today. Wanted would be something I feel like I would like to re-talk about one day.
I agree.
Or, Zach, I texted you earlier about the Transformers movies.
Yeah. Something
about those first 3 with Shia LaBeouf. I don't know. I think a lot of people give that franchise shit.
One for me, I think we should do is the Peanut Butter Falcon. We were gonna do that this year, but it got scrapped for something else. So
Yeah. A24 month kind of
took it over.
William says, who's your all-time favorite horror actress out of some horror movie that you guys might have seen, and why? I would have to say Neve Campbell from the Scream movies. She's not like in a lot of stuff outside of Scream, but like, man, that character and that actress is what keeps those movies running. I enjoy her personally.
I would say either Lynn Shay. I think she's been around a long, long time. Even go back to the original Halloween and Insidious. But also, I think it also ties with Tobin Bell from the Saw films.
Yeah, that's great.
I've never really had a personal like go-to. I mean, as far as I know, she's maybe only done one or two tops, but
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'd probably have to. I mean, honestly.
Kogo Chris says, honestly, I've tried and I can't sit through a James Bond flick. I'd rather watch Indiana Jones or any of the Bourne films. Do you guys agree? And what are your thoughts?
I mean, I kind of agree, but at the same time, like, I don't really watch Bourne, and I haven't really watched Indiana Jones that much, other than what we've done here. So,
Barry says, Quantum of Solace isn't my favorite Bond film, but to me it's still a solid 8. Steven says, I honestly have a request. I personally love Spawn from the 90s, but so many people trash this movie. Would you guys ever come to the rescue and review it one day? Even if you guys don't like it, I would still like to hear what you thought about it.
I've never seen it, so
I wouldn't mind it. I know you're the one who introduced me to Spawn back in the day.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
It's been a little bit.
Valerie says, favorite horror films from the 80s would be Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th Part 4. Zach, I'll come to your defense. Ghostbusters, Evil Dead, and The Shining.
There you go.
Jessica says, I'm really surprised nobody mentioned The Shining last week on their top 5 horror movies from the 80s.
Did you have it as an honorable mention?
I think you did, yes.
I think you did.
As an honorable mention.
Maybe.
I mean, The Shining's always one of those ones that's really, really, really good. Yeah.
I've only seen it once in its entirety, so.
Right.
And then the last email of the day, which we went through like 16 today. Again, guys, if I didn't get to it in 2 weeks, we will have an entire episode dedicated to it. Jennifer says, if there is any other A24 movies you guys decide to talk about, it has to be a ghost story.
Nice.
Okay, I agree.
So I think that's should be a fun episode. It's kind of a tragic film. It's kind of sad.
A24 has always got that either
it goes all the way
reality
or emotional.
Yeah,
kicking the balls.
Yeah.
So
they're definitely quality films, though. Almost all of them so far that I've seen have been really quality films.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys. All right, guys. So don't forget, next week we are going to be talking about trains, planes, and automobiles. November the 23rd. November the 30th, we're going to dedicate that entire episode to emails. And then Monday, December the 7th, wouldn't be a December without Star Wars.
Right.
Talk about Rogue One on December the 7th. How do you guys feel about next week?
That's Christmas.
Trains, planes, and automobiles. Are you guys excited?
Never seen it, so
Sounds
it'll be
like
a first time watch.
Traveling a long distance.
What about, have any of you guys witnessed or seen a John Candy film where he's like the main star in it? A lot of people have been like, he's in like 5 Minutes of Home Alone, or so it'll kind of be a fun episode. John Candy's one of those late great actors who, not a lot of our generation got to see, but you hear a lot of good things about him. So, anybody else have any mentions about today? Spectre, or not Spectre, but Quantum of Solace?
No, this is Zach signing out.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm good on it. This is Edward saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
All right, guys, don't forget, email us, cinemen921@gmail.com. Next week, right before Thanksgiving, we talk all about trains, planes, and automobiles. right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
The band was jumping, the people too high, mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around.